Every day brings its own challenges. Sometimes life feels like it's pushing you down, testing your patience, your strength, and your ability to keep going. But what if the difference between winning and struggling isn't about what happens around you, but what happens inside your mind? How you think, how you focus, and how you handle pressure can change everything. This isn't about luck or talent, it's about training your mind to respond the right way, no matter the situation. In this journey, you'll learn practical steps to build mental strength, stay calm when things get tough, and take bold actions even when fear tries to stop you. You'll discover how small daily victories add up to unstoppable habits, and how to keep control of your time so it serves your goals. This is about more than just getting through the day. It's about growing stronger with every challenge, proving to yourself that you can face anything, and living with clear purpose. Stick with this because it will change how you think and how you act, helping you take control of your life in a way that feels natural and real. You'll walk away with tools to grow your confidence, handle setbacks, and keep moving forward, no matter what. This is your guide to training your mind to win every single day, in every situation. Chapter 1. Build mental strength by mastering your daily thoughts. Every single day begins in your mind. Long before your feet touch the floor or your eyes fully open, your thoughts are already working. They are shaping how you'll feel, what you'll notice, what you'll believe, and ultimately, how you'll behave. Most people don't realize how much power lives in this first mental movement of the day. Your mind sets the tone, and if left unchecked, it will do so without your permission, without your awareness, and without your direction. If you want to build mental strength, it starts here with mastering your daily thoughts. Thoughts are not just background noise, they are the drivers of your choices and your mood. They are either building your resilience or slowly weakening it. And they're not passive. They respond to what you feed them. If you start your morning thinking about what might go wrong, how tired you are, how unfair life is, or how others don't understand you, then your day is already shaped. You will move through your hours looking for confirmation that your thoughts were correct. You'll find the frustration, you'll notice the tension, and you'll miss the opportunities. But if you train your thoughts daily, if you start with awareness, discipline, and intentional thinking, then you take control of your life in the most powerful way possible. Mental strength doesn't come from pretending life is always good. It comes from facing the truth and training your thoughts to serve you, not sabotage you. Your thoughts are habits. And just like physical habits, they can be broken and replaced. That's not easy. It takes daily effort. It takes noticing when your mind slips into negative patterns and choosing a different response. It's the work of a strong person, not a perfect one. You don't need to be fearless or always positive. You just need to be aware and then take ownership of what happens in your head. Every thought is a choice. Even the automatic ones, once seen, can be challenged and redirected. That's how transformation begins. The moment you stop letting your thoughts go unchallenged is the moment you begin building the mental muscle that changes everything else. Imagine waking up and consciously deciding what you will focus on, what you will give your energy to, and what you will allow to pass. This is not denial, it's discipline. You can acknowledge that you feel stress or disappointment without letting it take the lead. A mentally strong person understands that not every thought deserves attention. Just because a fear pops into your head doesn't mean it's true. Just because a doubt rises up doesn't mean it defines you. Thoughts are passing waves. You choose which ones to ride. The problem is that most people never learned how to step back and see their thoughts clearly. They confuse thoughts with facts, but facts don't make you feel worthless, anxious, or stuck. Thoughts do, and thoughts can be reshaped. This is why the first step to building mental strength is learning how to observe your thinking. Start with 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly and simply notice what comes up in your mind. Don't judge. Don't react. Just notice. You'll be surprised at how busy and automatic your thoughts really are. You might notice worries about the future, regrets from the past, or criticisms of yourself. You might notice comparisons or assumptions, and that's okay. This awareness is your first victory. You cannot change what you do not first see. Once you begin to observe, the next step is to challenge. This is where strength begins to build. When you hear yourself think something like, "I can't handle this," or "I always mess up," pause and ask a simple question. Is this true? Not emotionally true, but factually true. Most of the time the answer is no. You can handle it. You have before. You are capable. You have learned and grown. The thought isn't the problem. Believing it without question is. When you start to challenge those automatic thoughts, you weaken their grip. And as their grip loosens, your confidence grows. Now take it further. Replace those thoughts with deliberate, grounded beliefs. Not wishful thinking, but thoughts that empower you without lying to you. Instead of "I can't do this," you train your mind to say, "This is hard, but I will take it one step at a time." Instead of "I'm not good enough," you train your mind to say, "I am learning, and I'm growing stronger every day." These new thoughts become your mental fuel. You use them not to avoid difficulty, but to move through it with strength. Mental strength grows when you take ownership of your internal world. You stop blaming circumstances for your state of mind. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop giving outside people the keys to your peace. You realize that your mind is your most valuable territory, and it's your responsibility to protect it. You build routines around this principle. You begin your morning not by scrolling or reacting, but by setting your thoughts with intention. You choose what to focus on. You create a short list of things you're grateful for. You remind yourself of what matters. You speak truth into your day before the noise of the world takes over. And throughout the day, you come back to that same practice. Whenever stress hits, you pause and return to your breath. You notice the thought behind the emotion. You ask yourself, "Is this helping me or hurting me?" You learn to redirect. You focus on what you can control. You accept what you cannot. You take small actions that reflect your values, not your fears. Over time, this becomes who you are. A person who responds instead of reacts. A person who thinks clearly under pressure. A person who doesn't need everything to go right in order to stay grounded. This is not about perfection. You will still have negative thoughts. You will still have moments of doubt. But the difference is, you won't live there. You won't let those thoughts dictate your worth or your future. You'll catch them. You'll challenge them. You'll replace them with thoughts that keep you strong, even when life gets heavy. One of the most powerful practices for mastering your daily thoughts is journaling. At the end of each day, write down what thoughts dominated your mind. Were they helpful or harmful? Did they lift you up or drain you? Then write one thought you want to carry into tomorrow. Just one. This daily reflection trains your awareness. It strengthens your ability to choose what you think, instead of being a prisoner to old patterns. And over time, you begin to see progress. You feel lighter. You feel calmer. You notice things you never noticed before. You become more present. Presence is a sign of mental strength. When your mind is trained, it doesn't need to constantly relive the past or rehearse the future. It can stay here. It can focus on the task at hand. It can experience this moment fully. That doesn't mean you never plan or reflect. It means you do so deliberately. You don't get stuck. You move with clarity, not chaos. And that clarity becomes your competitive edge. In a world full of noise, distraction and emotional reactivity, a clear mind stands out. It wins because it can think, choose and act without being hijacked by every external trigger. Mental strength is quiet. It's not loud or showy. It doesn't need to prove anything. It shows up in the way you hold yourself when things don't go as planned. It shows up in the way you treat others when you're under stress. It shows up in your ability to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to give up. That kind of strength doesn't come from outside approval. It comes from daily training. It comes from doing the hard, invisible work of managing your mind every single day. If you want to win in life, you must first win in your mind. That means taking responsibility for your thoughts. It means no longer allowing your inner critic to lead. It means no longer waiting for circumstances to align before you feel peace. Peace is a choice. Focus is a skill. Strength is a habit. And all of them are within your control. Start with one thought each morning. One statement that sets your tone. Something like, I am strong enough to face today. Say it out loud. Write it down. Repeat it when your mind begins to wander. Make it your anchor. Then as the day unfolds, come back to it. When stress rises, remind yourself of your anchor. When fear creeps in, go back to your anchor. The goal is not to eliminate discomfort, but to stay centered through it. Train your mind like you would train a muscle. Daily, repeatedly, with effort and care, and know that progress is not always dramatic. Some days, the victory is catching one negative thought before it takes over. Some days, it's choosing to stay calm instead of snapping. Every small step is a step towards strength. It adds up. It builds you. And eventually, it becomes your new normal. You become the kind of person who others look to for steadiness. Not because your life is easy, but because your mind is trained. That's the goal. Not to avoid life's challenges, but to meet them with a mind that is strong, clear and steady. And that begins not with motivation, but with the discipline to master your daily thoughts. There is no need to wait for the perfect time to begin. This is it. Right now, you have the power to choose your next thought. Make it one that builds you, not breaks you. Make it one that brings you closer to the life you want. That's how you build mental strength. That's how you win in every situation. Not all at once, but one thought at a time. Over and over again, until your mind becomes your greatest ally, not your enemy. Until your thinking is not just a reaction, but a reflection of your best self. Until your thoughts are not obstacles, but tools. Tools you use to shape your decisions, your direction and your destiny. Chapter 2. Train your focus to stay sharp under pressure. Pressure exposes what your mind is really trained to do. When everything is calm, anyone can appear focused. But the true measure of your focus is revealed when things go wrong, when time is tight, when emotions run high, and when distractions multiply. In these moments, the untrained mind scatters, panics, and chases after anything that offers quick relief. But a trained mind does not collapse under pressure. It slows down. It locks in. It clears space for clarity. And this ability is not something you're born with. It's something you earn through disciplined training. Staying focused under pressure begins with understanding that your mind will always follow what it's been conditioned to do. If your habit is to escape discomfort, then pressure will push you into avoidance. If your habit is to give in to every mental impulse, then you'll find yourself overwhelmed the moment intensity rises. But if your mind has been trained to remain calm, to return to what matters, and to block out what doesn't serve the moment, then pressure becomes fuel instead of fear. That's the level of control you must build, one where your focus is not determined by the environment, but by your inner direction. Training your focus is not about forcing yourself to ignore everything. It's about filtering. You decide what gets your attention and what gets ignored. Focus is not the absence of distraction, it's the deliberate rejection of distraction. And pressure only makes this skill more important. Under stress, the brain looks for the path of least resistance. It will try to move you toward comfort, away from uncertainty. But this natural response doesn't serve you. In fact, it weakens your ability to stay present when presence is most needed. That's why you must teach your mind that focus is non-negotiable, especially when things feel chaotic. The first step is to recognize how pressure affects your attention. You might find your thoughts racing, your heart beating faster, your mind jumping from one task to another without finishing anything. These are signals, not problems. They are the indicators that your focus is slipping and your mind is seeking an escape. Catching this in the moment is a skill you build with practice. When you notice yourself spiraling, stop, take one breath, and bring your attention back to a single point. It might be the next small task, a specific word, or the sensation of your breath. Whatever you choose, lock your awareness into it. This single act begins to calm the storm. Pressure amplifies noise, both internal and external. So to keep your focus, you must reduce the noise. One of the most powerful tools is the ability to mentally zoom in. Instead of trying to handle everything at once, you narrow your field of vision, one decision, one action, one moment. That's all you need to win. This mental zoom is not avoidance, it's strategic. It allows you to conserve energy, prevent overwhelm, and execute with precision. Even in the most intense moments, there is always one controllable step you can take. That step deserves your full attention. Nothing else matters until it's done. Another essential part of mental focus under pressure is protecting your energy from unnecessary decisions. The more decisions you force yourself to make, the more your mental clarity suffers. That's why routines are so valuable. When you train your day to follow a structure, you reserve your attention for what really matters. You don't waste energy figuring out what to do, you just do it. This consistency builds trust with yourself. And when pressure hits, that trust allows you to move forward without hesitation. You must also eliminate the idea that focus is about motivation. It's not. Under pressure, motivation fades. The stakes are high, the clock is ticking, and emotions are loud. You won't feel like focusing. That's when discipline takes over. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It knows what needs to be done. So your training must include uncomfortable practice. You must practice focusing when you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're frustrated. This builds a stronger mind. You stop waiting for ideal conditions and start creating results, no matter the condition. Part of this training is also learning how to reset quickly. Pressure will knock you off balance. You'll make mistakes. You'll lose focus for a moment. The key is not staying perfect, it's recovering fast. Teach yourself to pause, breathe, and return. Don't spiral. Don't judge yourself. Just come back to the task. The faster you return, the less damage is done. Over time, this rapid recovery becomes instinct, and that instinct is what keeps you sharp when others crumble. Mental focus under pressure is not just about performance, it's about self-respect. When you choose to give your full attention to something, you're honoring your goals, your values, and your time. You're telling yourself and the world that what you're doing matters. And when pressure tries to pull you away, you don't let it. You stay rooted in purpose. That's the kind of mindset that separates the average from the exceptional. You must also learn to breathe through pressure, not just physically but mentally. When your breath slows, your mind slows. When your body is calm, your focus stabilizes. This is why elite performers, from athletes to military leaders, train their breathing. It's not just a relaxation tool, it's a focus tool. When your breath is steady, you anchor your awareness. You remain present, you make smarter choices. Even if the world around you is loud, you stay centered. In your daily life, you can start this training in small ways. Every time you work on something, practice removing distractions. Put your phone in another room. Silence the unnecessary tabs. Give yourself time blocks where your attention belongs to one thing only. You'll notice how hard this feels at first. Your mind will rebel. It will want to check, scroll, jump to something easier. Don't give in, sit with the discomfort. Each time you do, you're sharpening your focus under mental pressure. You're building endurance. You're teaching your brain that scattered attention is no longer acceptable. Eventually, this kind of focus becomes your default. When stress rises, your mind doesn't run. It settles. When others react, you observe. When distractions scream for attention, you ignore them. Not because you're superhuman, but because you've trained. You've put in the invisible reps that make sharp thinking automatic. And this is what gives you the edge. When everyone else is flailing, you execute. When others get emotional, you stay strategic. That's how you win, by doing the inner work that no one sees but everyone feels. Focus under pressure is a decision. It's a daily practice. It's a form of mental armor. And once it's built, it doesn't just protect your performance, it transforms your character. You become reliable, steady, and unshakable. Not because life is easy, but because your mind is trained. And a trained mind always finds the way through. Chapter 3. Control your emotions by leading with calm decisions. Emotions are natural, but the way you respond to them decides the outcome of your life. When you feel angry, overwhelmed, anxious, or discouraged, you are at a crossroads. You can follow the feeling and let it control your choices, or you can slow down, lead with reason, and take control of what happens next. Your mind may react fast, but your decision must be slow. If you want power over your emotions, you must make calm your default, not your exception. Every situation that challenges your peace is a test of how disciplined your thinking really is. And it's not about denying emotion. It's about not letting it lead your life. The strength of your mind is measured by how well you hold yourself steady when you feel shaken inside. Most people act first, then regret later. They speak in anger, quit in frustration, blame in fear, but regret always follows impulse. What changes everything is the ability to interrupt that cycle before it takes control. Calm decision-making is a skill, not a personality trait. You are not born with it. You build it, and you build it by making space between what you feel and what you do. That space is where strength lives. To take control of your emotions, the first thing you must train is awareness. If you don't see what's happening inside you, you can't change it. You have to start catching yourself in the moment. Notice when your chest tightens, when your thoughts race, when your words sharpen. These are signals that emotion is building. Don't try to suppress it. Just recognize it. Label it honestly. Say to yourself, I feel tense. I feel irritated. I feel anxious. That small act of naming gives you control. It puts you in the position of observer, not victim. Once you're aware, the next step is to pause. 1 breath, 1 second. That's all it takes to shift your direction. Most people skip this step because they feel like they have to respond immediately. They don't, and neither do you. In fact, the faster you react, the more likely you are to regret it. That 1 breath gives your mind a chance to come back to reason. It reminds you that you are not your feeling. You are the one choosing what to do with it. Now comes the most important part, leading with logic. Ask yourself a question. What decision here honors my values, not my mood? That one question can change everything. It separates what you want to do emotionally from what you should do intentionally. And when you consistently lead with intention, even when your emotions pull you in another direction, you become someone who can be trusted under pressure. You become someone who does not break when things go wrong. That kind of leadership starts with your inner life. People often think being calm means being passive. It doesn't. It means you are choosing to respond in a way that reflects your character, not your temporary emotion. It means you know that reacting with chaos only multiplies the problem. You don't have to raise your voice to be strong. You don't have to prove yourself with drama. You prove yourself by staying grounded while others lose control. And every time you do, you reinforce that identity within yourself. This isn't easy. Sometimes your emotions will feel overwhelming. You'll feel the urge to lash out, to shut down, to walk away. And there will be moments where you do. You're human. But the goal is to shorten the time between the reaction and the correction. The moment you realize you've been pulled off course, bring yourself back. Recenter. Refocus. The faster you return to calm, the more you train your nervous system to choose it by default. Eventually, it becomes natural. You won't have to try to stay calm. You will have made calm your baseline. One of the greatest challenges is dealing with other people's emotions. When someone else is angry or emotional, it can be easy to mirror that energy. But this is where your training matters most. If you can stay composed in the face of someone else's storm, you maintain the upper hand, not to dominate them, but to keep the situation from escalating. You cannot control how others act, but you can always control how you choose to respond. And when you respond with discipline, you take the power back. Sometimes the most calm decision is to say nothing at all. Silence can be strength. You don't always have to explain, argue, or justify yourself. When your peace matters more than your pride, you start making choices that protect your mental clarity. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult needs a response. You decide which fights matter by asking yourself what outcome you really want. If the goal is progress, then your emotion must serve the goal, not override it. You also train emotional control by creating habits outside of pressure. Start your day with clarity. Take time to center yourself. Reflect. Breathe. Prepare. When you start from a grounded state, it's harder for the world to knock you off course. The more consistently you do this, the more resilient your mind becomes. You stop being thrown around by external conditions. You move through the day with quiet authority. That authority is what builds real strength. Another key is to reduce the mental clutter that triggers emotional reactivity. Too much input creates tension. You must learn to guard your mental space, limit the noise, cut the habits that flood your mind with constant negativity. This doesn't mean you avoid life's challenges. It means you take responsibility for the things you can control, including your daily environment, your boundaries, and the energy you allow in. Your emotional balance depends on your inner order. Protect it. There will be times when calm decisions require you to walk away, set boundaries, or choose discipline over comfort. These moments are hard, not because they're unclear, but because they demand maturity. Emotional control is not about being liked. It's about doing what is necessary for long-term peace, even if it feels uncomfortable in the short term. The person who controls their emotion leads the room. That's not about being the loudest, it's about being the most stable. If you want to lead your life with strength, you must treat your mind like a disciplined tool. Emotions will visit. They will rise and fall, but your job is not to eliminate them. Your job is to direct them. Let fear teach you what matters. Let anger show you where your boundaries are. Let sadness remind you of your values. But do not let these feelings dictate your choices. You must remain in control, and control is not force, it's clarity. Over time, you'll notice a shift. The situations that used to trigger you will lose their power. You won't react the same way. You'll notice yourself thinking before you act, reflecting before you speak, choosing what is right over what is easy. That's how you know the training is working. It won't make your life perfect, but it will make you unshakable. And when life throws its hardest challenges at you, you will not panic. You will lead. You will remain calm. And you will choose the decision that builds your future, not the one that satisfies your emotion. Chapter 4. Challenge every fear by taking one bold action. Fear is not a signal to stop, but a call to act. Every time you hesitate in front of fear, you strengthen it. Every time you move through it, you shrink it. Fear grows in silence and in action. The more you avoid it, the more powerful it becomes. But the moment you take one bold action toward it, you break its illusion. Fear is rarely based on facts. It's shaped by what might happen, not what will. When you act in spite of fear, you begin to build a new identity, one that no longer sees fear as a wall, but as a doorway. Most people wait for fear to go away before doing something important. That wait can last a lifetime. You don't need to eliminate fear. You need to take action while it's present. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the refusal to be controlled by it. Fear appears in many forms. It can show up as the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or even the fear of success. But the root is always the same: uncertainty. You don't know how it will turn out, and because you don't know, you imagine the worst. That's how the mind protects itself. But that same mechanism that's meant to keep you safe can also keep you stuck. You weren't born to avoid life, you were born to shape it. And that means walking into the discomfort instead of retreating from it. One bold action is the bridge between fear and freedom. You don't overcome fear by thinking more about it. You overcome it by giving your mind something real to respond to. Action gives you feedback. It grounds you in reality. It gives you clarity that fear cannot survive. The hardest part is the first step, not because it's physically difficult, but because mentally you are breaking a habit of hesitation. That hesitation has been practiced and reinforced over time. And now you are doing the opposite. The moment you decide to act boldly in the face of fear, you reclaim your authority. No one ever gets rid of fear completely. What changes is how you respond to it. Fear becomes smaller when you prove to yourself that you can move forward anyway. You don't have to take a giant leap. One step is enough to change your direction. One phone call, one honest conversation, one decision that reflects your courage instead of your comfort. These small moments are not small in impact. They shape the story you tell yourself. And when you tell yourself that you are someone who moves forward, that belief becomes your new foundation. There's no shortcut to courage. It's earned through effort. And you earn it by doing what feels hard. If you avoid everything that makes you nervous, you build a habit of shrinking. You begin to see the world as threatening, instead of filled with opportunity. You become smaller than your dreams. But if you choose one moment every day to take a bold action, whether it's speaking up, trying something new, or standing your ground, you build a different habit. That habit becomes your character. Bold action doesn't mean reckless action. It means doing what aligns with your deeper goals, even when it's uncomfortable. It means not letting short-term fear block long-term progress. Fear will try to convince you that it's too risky, too soon, too much. But boldness doesn't wait for everything to be perfect. It moves anyway. Boldness is built on the belief that you can handle what comes next, whatever it may be. And even if you fail, you will learn something stronger than fear: resilience. There is always a cost to staying afraid. The cost is your peace, your potential, your growth. Every time you say no to something because of fear, you reinforce the idea that you are not capable. That message is subtle, but it's powerful. And if you repeat it enough, you start to believe it. But when you do the opposite, when you say yes to the hard thing, the scary thing, the unknown thing, you send a different message. You tell yourself you are capable of more, and that message transforms you. One of the fastest ways to challenge fear is to take action immediately after identifying it. When you feel fear rising, use it as a trigger to move. If you're afraid to speak, speak anyway. If you're afraid to try, try anyway. The action doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. That alone is victory. Boldness is not about talent or preparation. It's about choice. You choose to act even when it feels difficult. And that choice separates growth from stagnation. Most of what you fear is not about actual danger. It's about discomfort. It's about the fear of how you'll feel, not what will happen. But emotions pass, and once you move through them, you'll see that they had no real power over you. What had power was your attention. If you focus on the fear, it expands. If you focus on the action, the fear loses momentum. You can either feed your fear or feed your courage, but you can't do both at the same time. Boldness trains your nervous system to tolerate discomfort. At first it may feel overwhelming. Your heart races, your hands sweat, your mind tries to escape. But with every bold step, you rewire your mind to associate discomfort with growth instead of danger. Over time, the things that once scared you will feel normal, and what once held you back will become part of your past, not your identity. But none of this happens without the decision to act. You don't need permission to be bold. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to feel confident first. Confidence comes after. First comes the choice, then comes the change. If you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever. The bold act is what makes you ready. Fear will always have a reason, but you don't have to follow it. You follow what matters more: your future, your goals, your values. And that gives you a deeper strength than comfort ever could. Every bold action leaves a mark on your life. It becomes a turning point. You look back at those moments and realize they were the reason things changed. You can create more of those moments on purpose. You don't have to wait for inspiration. You create it by doing something bold right now. It can be small, but it must be meaningful. It must stretch you. It must challenge the belief that fear is a wall, because it never was. It was only the place where your next step needed to begin. The most powerful people you admire all faced fear. What made them different was not that they were fearless, but that they chose action again and again. They built strength through movement, not avoidance. You can do the same. It starts with one decision, one moment where you stop waiting and start doing. And once you do, fear will no longer be the leader in your life. You will. And that is where everything changes. Chapter 5. Create unstoppable habits through consistent small victories. Progress is not created through sudden breakthroughs or once-in-a-lifetime efforts. It's built quietly through steady, deliberate repetition. Every lasting transformation begins with something small, an act so minor it seems almost meaningless. But what makes it powerful is the consistency behind it. Habits are not defined by how impressive they appear on the outside. They are defined by how faithfully they are practiced. One small action repeated over and over again will do more for your growth than 100 big actions done only once. And it's not because small is easy, but because small is sustainable. The mind doesn't need grand victories to feel empowered. It needs momentum. You build momentum by winning the first hour of your day. You gain control by showing up for yourself in the moments no one else sees. When you begin with something simple, a quiet walk, a few minutes of reading, a conscious choice in how you speak or eat or work, you teach yourself that you are capable of leading your life instead of reacting to it. These small wins matter because they give you proof. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. That's how discipline becomes part of who you are, not just something you do when you feel motivated. It's tempting to believe you need to change everything at once to get results. That illusion leads to burnout. People start with intensity and quit when the excitement fades. But if you focus on small, repeatable actions, you build something that lasts. The strength of a habit isn't measured by how hard it is to start. It's measured by how easily it fits into your daily life. You want habits that support your goals without overwhelming you. You want routines that support progress even on bad days. Especially on bad days. Because it's in those hard moments that your consistency becomes your safety net. Success is not about what you do occasionally. It's about what you do consistently, even when you're tired, distracted, or discouraged. That's when habits prove their power. They take over when willpower is weak. They carry you when motivation is low. You don't need to be inspired every day to succeed. You need systems that make success easier to repeat. And that starts with reducing resistance. If you want to exercise, make the environment supportive. Lay your clothes out the night before. If you want to read more, keep a book within reach. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more likely you are to act. The habit you practice today might not look impressive, but it will compound. Over weeks and months, that 5-minute routine becomes part of your identity. That small investment turns into strength. Think of every habit like planting a seed. You don't expect a tree overnight, but you keep watering. You show up. You stay faithful to the process. Because eventually, the roots grow deep enough that the results become visible. And once your habits are rooted, they begin to work for you. They no longer feel like effort. They feel like part of who you are. Most people give up not because they lack talent, but because they lack patience. They expect quick results, and when those results don't come, they stop. But real change doesn't announce itself. It grows in silence. You don't see the impact of your daily choices immediately, but you feel it. You feel it in your energy, in your confidence, in the way you handle challenges. These subtle shifts are the beginning of something powerful, and they only appear when you give them time to grow. One of the most effective ways to create a habit is to anchor it to something you already do. If you want to practice gratitude, say 3 things you're thankful for while brushing your teeth. If you want to stretch more, do it after your morning coffee. Attaching a new habit to an existing one makes it easier to remember and more likely to stick. This is not about adding more to your life. It's about aligning your life with what matters. It's about making every small act a vote for the person you want to become. There will be days when your mind tries to negotiate. It will say, it's just one day off. But what matters is not perfection, it's continuation. If you miss one day, resume the next. Don't let one lapse become a pattern. Protect your progress, even if it means starting small again. That's not failure, that's resilience. Discipline isn't about never slipping, it's about always returning. And the quicker you return, the more powerful your habits become. Consistency doesn't mean you do the same thing in the same way every time. It means you keep showing up, even when the circumstances change. You adapt without abandoning the process. If you're traveling, you adjust your routine. If you're low on time, you scale it down. But you don't stop. You find a way to maintain the rhythm, because you know the habit matters more than the size of the effort. The act of doing is what keeps you aligned with your growth. You will not always feel like doing the right thing. That's why building habits is not about inspiration, it's about commitment. You commit not to the outcome, but to the effort. And that effort becomes the foundation of your confidence. Every time you act with discipline, you earn trust with yourself. And self-trust is the engine behind every breakthrough. When you know you can rely on yourself, you stop looking for permission. You start leading your own life. If your goal is to create unstoppable habits, focus less on how far you have to go and more on what you can do today. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do right now that keeps me aligned with who I want to be? Then do that, and do it again tomorrow. It might feel ordinary, but that's the point. Greatness is built in the ordinary. It's shaped by people who choose consistency over intensity, who stay the course even when the road looks quiet. Unstoppable habits are not built overnight. They are built in moments when no one is watching. They are formed through small victories that stack up until momentum takes over. You don't need to change your whole life today. You only need to begin. Pick one habit. Make it small enough that you can't fail. Show up for it every day. Let it anchor you. Let it reshape how you see yourself. Because when you see yourself as someone who follows through, your possibilities expand. You begin to trust your path, and the weight of hesitation begins to lift. In time, these small victories won't feel like effort. They'll feel like rhythm, like flow. You'll stop counting days and start living in alignment. And when challenges come, as they always do, you'll have a system to rely on. A foundation you've built with your own hands, one habit at a time. That's how you create real power. Not by chasing perfection, but by practicing purpose. Not by waiting for the right mood, but by building the right moves into your life. Over and over, until they become who you are. Chapter 6. Own your time by choosing what truly matters. Time is not just a measure of hours passing, it's the currency of your life. Every minute spent is a choice made, whether consciously or not. And yet, most people treat time as if it's endless, casually traded for distractions, interruptions, or obligations that don't bring meaning or growth. To own your time is not about managing a calendar, it's about defending your energy, your values, and your future. The first step toward mastery is learning to say no to what doesn't serve your purpose, even if it once did, or even if others don't understand your reasons. Your time is finite. What you do with it reveals who you are becoming. The greatest trap is believing that being busy means being productive. People pack their days with tasks, calls, errands, and responsibilities that drain them, and at the end of it all, they feel no closer to their goals. Activity becomes a substitute for progress. Motion replaces direction. The truth is, many use busyness to avoid hard choices. When your schedule is full, you can postpone asking difficult questions. Am I doing what matters? Am I building the life I truly want? Am I using my time in a way that honors what I say I value? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary if you want to stop living by default and start living by design. To reclaim your time, begin by being honest about what actually matters to you. Not what looks impressive, not what pleases others, not what gives you temporary comfort, but what aligns with your deeper values, your long-term vision, and your inner peace. This requires courage, because sometimes it means letting go of what you've outgrown, walking away from things that once gave you a sense of identity, or saying no to people who expect your availability without appreciating your presence. But clarity gives you strength. When you know what matters, decisions become easier. You stop chasing everything and start building something. Owning your time means understanding that not all hours are equal. An hour spent on what fuels your purpose is worth more than 5 wasted on distractions. Quality matters more than quantity. One focused morning where your phone is off, your mind is present, and your efforts are intentional can move your life forward more than a week of scattered attention. If you want to gain control of your time, protect your focus. Guard it like a treasure, because it is, and treat your attention as something sacred, because where your attention goes, your life follows. The world will not respect your time until you do. That means being deliberate about how you structure your days. Most people wake up and react to everything that comes their way: messages, demands, notifications, interruptions. They give away their time to whoever asks for it first. But the most effective people don't begin their day by checking what others need from them. They start by checking what they need to become who they're meant to be. You can create that habit. You can begin each morning by deciding what the day is for, not in a vague sense, but in clear, intentional terms. When you do that, your priorities begin to lead, and everything else takes its place. You don't need to fill every hour to feel accomplished. In fact, the more deeply you value your time, the more space you will create in your life. Space for thought, space for rest, space for creativity. People think productivity is about doing more, but real productivity is about doing what matters most, and doing it well. You don't need to win every race, you need to finish the right ones. Choose a few meaningful pursuits and give them your best. Let go of the pressure to do everything, and you'll find the freedom to do what's essential. It's easy to underestimate the cost of wasted time because you don't feel the pain right away. But every hour spent on something meaningless is an hour stolen from something meaningful. Time doesn't shout at you when it's slipping away, it just disappears quietly. You only notice what you lost when the opportunity is gone, when the energy fades, when the chance to build something better has passed. That's why awareness is the key. Pay attention to how your time is being spent, not with guilt or regret, but with the kind of honesty that helps you make better decisions tomorrow. Owning your time also means recognizing that you are not required to explain every decision you make about how you use it. You don't owe everyone access to your schedule. You don't have to justify the boundaries you set. Some people will misunderstand, others may feel entitled to your availability, but your responsibility is not to please everyone, it's to lead yourself well. The more you protect your time, the more you can offer your best to the people and work that truly matter. That's not selfishness. That's integrity. Your time is also your energy. What drains you takes more than minutes. It takes mental space, emotional strength, and physical resilience. That's why part of owning your time is learning to identify what's exhausting you unnecessarily. Are there people who constantly take from you but never give? Are there routines that feel more like obligations than choices? Are you saying yes out of fear rather than purpose? Every unnecessary commitment you remove creates more room for something real. And often the simplest act of taking back 1 hour a day, one quiet, uninterrupted, intentional hour, can change the trajectory of your life. You cannot control every demand, but you can control your response. Not every message needs an instant reply. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every opportunity is meant for you. When you rush through your days, constantly reacting, you disconnect from your own pace. But when you slow down enough to choose your path deliberately, you align your schedule with your values. You stop surviving your days and start directing them. That is the essence of ownership. Living intentionally is not about being perfect with time, it's about being purposeful with it. There will be delays, surprises, and moments when life pulls you in directions you didn't plan. But if you've built your life around what truly matters, you'll always return to center. You'll know how to recalibrate. You'll trust your inner compass more than the noise around you. And when others see you honoring your time, they may begin to honor theirs as well. Your example will ripple. You have enough time to build the life you want, but only if you stop giving your hours to things that don't belong in it. Start now. Look at your day. What can you remove? What can you protect? What can you give your full attention to? Time doesn't need to be fought, it needs to be shaped. And you are the only one who can shape it with intention. Choose well. Choose with clarity. Choose with courage. Because how you use your time is how you live your life. Chapter 7. Strengthen your confidence by proving yourself daily. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It's something you earn, and you earn it by doing. Every single day, you have the chance to either strengthen it or weaken it. You prove yourself not through grand gestures, but through consistent actions that align with your intention. You show yourself who you are by following through, by doing the hard things when no one is watching, by refusing to let doubt dictate your behavior. Each time you face resistance and move forward anyway, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. Confidence isn't about thinking you'll always win. It's about knowing you'll show up and give your best even when the odds are unclear. The mistake people make is waiting for motivation or waiting to feel ready. But readiness is not a requirement for action, it's the result of it. The more you move, the more you build. The more you build, the more you believe. Self-respect comes from following through on your promises to yourself. When you say you'll do something, and you do it, you grow. When you avoid what needs to be done, your belief in yourself quietly erodes. It's not about perfection, it's about proving to yourself that you can rely on you. That's the foundation of real confidence. Start small, but start with intention. If you say you're going to wake up early, do it. If you decide to speak up when you normally wouldn't, do it. If you promise to stay focused for the next hour, do it. These are not just tasks, they are statements to yourself about who you are becoming. You don't have to transform your life overnight. You just need to string together enough days where you chose growth over comfort. You don't need to shout your progress to the world. What matters is that you know you're moving forward. That silent inner knowing is far more powerful than external praise. Confidence comes from doing what's difficult without needing applause. It comes from doing what's right, not what's easy. Every time you stand tall in the face of fear or fatigue or frustration, you reinforce your inner strength. The more you choose the uncomfortable action over the convenient one, the more you condition yourself to handle whatever life brings. And with each repetition, your self-image changes. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, someone who doesn't make excuses, someone who gets things done. That's where lasting confidence is built, not in loud declarations but in quiet discipline. When things get hard, that's when the real work begins. That's when the choice to rise matters most. People admire those who persist, but few understand that persistence is simply a daily decision to keep going, especially when the results are not immediate. It's easy to doubt yourself when progress feels slow. It's tempting to retreat when outcomes are uncertain. But every time you keep showing up, you prove to yourself that you don't give your power away to circumstances. And that kind of self-trust is worth more than talent, more than luck, more than comfort. Comparison is the enemy of confidence. You don't grow by measuring yourself against others. You grow by measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. Focus on your own path. Pay attention to your own work. Track your own growth. The progress you're making might not be obvious to anyone else, but if you're doing a little better today than you did last week, you are on the right track. Your strength is in your persistence, not in the speed of your climb. It's in your effort, your character, your grit. You don't need to be ahead of anyone. You just need to stay committed to your own evolution. One of the most important habits to develop is keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. If you say you'll work for 20 minutes, work for 20 minutes. If you say you'll drink more water, do it. These aren't just health goals or productivity hacks. They're tools for proving to your subconscious mind that your word means something. And when you consistently prove to yourself that you do what you say, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to feel solid inside, reliable, grounded. That's the root of unshakable self-respect, and with it comes the kind of confidence that doesn't crumble under pressure. Don't chase confidence, build it. Build it by preparing when others slack. Build it by practicing when no one else is looking. Build it by making the harder choice, the disciplined choice, the uncomfortable choice. The confidence you admire in others came from years of private effort, quiet failures, and relentless follow-through. You're not behind, you're just in the building phase. Everyone you look up to had days where they wanted to quit. What set them apart was not how they felt, but what they did despite how they felt. That same decision is available to you right now. There is power in the discipline of one more rep, one more hour, one more page, one more moment of staying calm when you want to react. When you add one more to your limit, you expand your capacity. That expansion becomes part of your identity. You begin to realize you're capable of more than you assumed. You stop labeling yourself by your limits and start redefining yourself by your efforts. Every day becomes an opportunity to grow that edge just a little further. Not for show, not for approval, but because you know that strength comes from resistance and confidence comes from overcoming. You don't need everything figured out to believe in yourself. You just need to keep showing up, day after day, for the version of you that you're building. You'll make mistakes. You'll fall short. That's part of the process. But if you keep standing back up, if you keep choosing discipline over distraction and courage over comfort, you will get stronger. And one day you'll realize that what once scared you now feels natural. What once felt overwhelming is now part of your daily rhythm. That transformation didn't happen by accident. It happened because you proved to yourself, again and again, that you are capable. Confidence is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It speaks through your posture, your presence, your decisions. It shows up in how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It reveals itself in how you respond under pressure. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about knowing you're resilient and that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. That level of belief doesn't come from hoping. It comes from doing. So start doing. Keep doing. And let your actions remind you every day that you are becoming someone powerful, one decision at a time. Chapter 8. Discipline your mind to rise after every setback. Setbacks are a natural part of life, but how you respond to them determines the course of your journey. Every obstacle can either stop you or serve as a stepping stone. Discipline is the key that unlocks the ability to rise again, no matter how many times you fall. The mind is not fixed. It is shaped by practice and choice. By training your mind to stand up after every failure, you build resilience that lasts a lifetime. The first step to discipline is accepting that setbacks happen to everyone. There is no shame in facing difficulties. The shame lies in surrendering to them. When challenges appear, resist the urge to retreat or blame external forces. Instead, take full responsibility for your recovery. This shift in mindset turns obstacles into opportunities for growth. You begin to see failures not as endings but as lessons, as necessary discomforts that sharpen your strength and wisdom. Rising after a setback requires intentional mental habits. It starts with controlling your internal dialogue. Notice how quickly self-criticism can spiral after a failure. That voice inside your head can either break you down or build you up. Choose to be your own coach rather than your own critic. Replace "I can't" with "I will learn." Replace "this is impossible" with "this is difficult but manageable." This disciplined self-talk rewires your brain to focus on solutions instead of problems. Another essential habit is to distance yourself from the emotional rush of failure before making decisions. When you're hurt or frustrated, your mind narrows and your judgment clouds. Give yourself space to breathe, reflect, and gain perspective. Use techniques such as deep breathing, journaling, or a short walk to calm the mind. This pause allows you to respond with clarity rather than react impulsively. It is in this calm state that you find the strength to act constructively. Building discipline means creating routines that reinforce your ability to bounce back. Develop a daily practice of reviewing what went wrong and what you can do better next time. This is not about harsh self-judgment, but honest assessment. Make a habit of setting small, achievable goals each day that move you forward, even if progress feels slow. Consistency over time outperforms bursts of motivation. Every small action reinforces the belief that you are capable of overcoming setbacks. Physical health also plays a vital role in mental discipline. A tired or unhealthy body weakens your mental resolve. Prioritize sleep, nutrition, and exercise as non-negotiable parts of your routine. These habits keep your energy steady and your mind sharp. When your body feels strong, your mind finds it easier to maintain discipline. Taking care of yourself is not indulgence, it's preparation for resilience. Seek support, but do not depend on others to fix your problems. Share your setbacks with trusted friends or mentors who offer constructive feedback and encouragement. Sometimes an outside perspective reveals solutions you might miss alone. Yet, ultimate responsibility lies with you. Learning to stand alone and rely on your inner resources builds the mental muscle needed for long-term success. Dependence weakens discipline. Self-reliance strengthens it. Reflect on past setbacks and the ways you have already risen. You have faced difficulties before and made it through. Remember those moments when you felt broken but chose to keep going. Let those memories be proof that you possess strength even when you doubt it. Use your history as fuel, not as a weight. This reflection grounds you in reality and reinforces the truth that setbacks are temporary, but your spirit is enduring. Expect setbacks to feel uncomfortable and sometimes discouraging. That discomfort is a sign that you are pushing your limits and growing. Avoid the trap of seeking comfort at the expense of progress. The greatest breakthroughs often come after the toughest challenges. Discipline is the choice to move toward discomfort because you know it leads to a better version of yourself. This perspective transforms pain into purpose. Discipline also requires patience. Change is rarely instant. You will encounter days when progress stalls or seems invisible. Resist the temptation to quit. Instead, trust the process and keep showing up. Incremental improvements compound over time into significant transformation. The discipline to persist when results are not immediate separates those who achieve lasting success from those who give up too soon. Focus on controlling what you can control. You cannot change the past or predict the future. You can only choose your actions and mindset in the present moment. Discipline grows when you direct your energy toward what is within your power. Let go of what is outside your influence. This focus reduces overwhelm and increases your effectiveness. Your response to setbacks becomes intentional rather than reactive. Every setback is an invitation to strengthen your resilience. When you cultivate the discipline to rise after every fall, you build a mindset that refuses to be defeated. This mindset is not about ignoring pain or pretending challenges don't exist. It is about facing reality with courage, learning from every experience and committing to growth. Your mental discipline becomes a shield that protects your goals and your peace of mind. Practice gratitude even during setbacks. Recognize the lessons hidden in adversity and the opportunities for growth. Gratitude shifts your focus from loss to gain. It rewires your brain to see hope rather than despair. This shift creates a positive feedback loop where resilience and discipline grow stronger. Choosing gratitude in tough moments is a powerful act of mental strength. Setbacks do not define you. Your response does. The habit of discipline turns failures into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Each time you rise, you reinforce your ability to overcome the next challenge. This builds momentum that propels you forward with increasing confidence. Life's difficulties become fuel for your transformation rather than barriers to your success. In the end, Discipline is a daily choice. It requires intention, effort, and patience. It demands self-awareness and self-compassion. The mind that trains itself to rise after every setback becomes a mind that wins in every situation. This victory is not just about external achievement, but about mastering the internal battlefield. When you discipline your mind to recover and keep moving, you claim your power to shape your life on your terms. Chapter 9. Grow your self-worth by honoring your own standards. Self-worth begins with the commitment to honor your own standards, no matter the circumstances. It is not something handed to you by others or gained through fleeting achievements. True self-worth grows from a clear sense of what you stand for and a consistent choice to uphold those values in everyday life. When you respect yourself, your actions naturally reflect that respect. The foundation of personal dignity lies in living according to your own rules rather than bending to external pressures or opinions. To cultivate self-worth, the first step is to clearly define your standards. What are the principles that matter most to you? These might include honesty, kindness, discipline, integrity, or any value that resonates deeply. Writing these down helps clarify your vision of how you want to live. Once defined, these standards act as a compass to guide decisions, interactions, and goals. They set a high bar that keeps you aligned with your true self and prevents compromise that undermines your confidence. Living by your standards requires courage. There will be times when others challenge or ignore what you believe in. It is tempting to lower your expectations to fit in or avoid conflict. Yet, every time you choose comfort over conviction, your self-worth erodes. Instead, view challenges as tests that strengthen your resolve. Standing firm affirms your worth and signals to yourself and others that you value your own voice and choices. This steadfastness builds inner confidence that no external approval can shake. Self-worth grows stronger when your actions match your intentions. Saying you value honesty means little if you frequently tell white lies to avoid discomfort. Each time you act contrary to your standards, a small crack appears in your self-trust. These cracks widen over time if ignored, leading to internal conflict and self-doubt. Consistency between beliefs and behavior creates integrity, which is the cornerstone of a healthy self-image. It's far better to admit mistakes openly and learn than to pretend and erode your own foundation. Setting boundaries is a vital practice in honoring your standards. Boundaries protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being by defining what you will and will not accept from others. Clear boundaries prevent resentment and burnout while reinforcing your self-respect. When you communicate your limits calmly and firmly, you teach others how to treat you. This reinforces your standards externally and reminds you internally that your needs matter as much as anyone else's. Avoid comparing yourself to others in this process. Self-worth is an inside job and cannot be measured by how you stack up against someone else's achievements, appearance, or lifestyle. The moment you look outward for validation, you surrender control over your value. Instead, focus on your own growth and the alignment between your actions and your principles. Progress in living authentically is a far more meaningful indicator of worth than any external standard. Forgiving yourself is also essential in this journey. No one lives perfectly by their standards all the time. Moments of weakness or poor judgment are inevitable. What matters is how you respond to these moments. Harsh self-criticism breaks down self-worth, while compassion restores it. Acknowledge your missteps honestly without excuses, learn the lesson, and recommit to your values. This cycle of accountability paired with kindness nurtures resilience and reinforces your commitment to honor yourself. Regular reflection deepens your connection to your standards. Set aside time to evaluate if your daily choices align with what you believe in. This is not a judgment session, but an opportunity for honest self-awareness. Ask yourself if you acted in a way that made you proud, or if you compromised on important values. Reflection uncovers blind spots and provides motivation to course correct. It also celebrates progress, which fuels your confidence and desire to keep growing. Surrounding yourself with people who respect and support your standards strengthens your self-worth. Relationships influence your self-perception profoundly. Being around those who accept you for who you are and encourage your growth makes it easier to uphold your values. Conversely, toxic relationships that demand conformity or disrespect your boundaries chip away at your confidence. Choose your company wisely as a reflection of your commitment to honor yourself. Expressing your standards clearly and calmly builds respect. When you communicate what you believe in without apology or aggression, you assert your worth. This clarity prevents misunderstandings and reduces manipulation. People respond to confidence and authenticity. Over time, this communication style attracts others who appreciate your integrity and discourages those who do not. Your voice becomes a powerful tool to protect your self-worth. Celebrate your commitment to your standards as a daily achievement. Every time you choose to act in accordance with your values, you are reinforcing your self-respect. These small victories accumulate and become the foundation of a strong, unshakable sense of worth. Recognize these moments and allow yourself to feel pride in your growth. This positive reinforcement creates a feedback loop that motivates you to continue living authentically. Growing self-worth by honoring your own standards is a lifelong process that requires dedication and mindfulness. It is a powerful way to take control of your life and build lasting confidence. As you live true to your principles, you discover a deep well of inner strength that no external circumstance can diminish. This strength is freedom. Freedom to be yourself fully and to create a life that reflects your highest values. It is a journey worth every effort because it leads to a peace and fulfillment that come only from genuine self-respect. Chapter 10. Lead your life with purpose through clear intention. Purpose is the compass that guides every meaningful step taken in life. Without clear intention, actions become scattered and energy dissipates, leaving behind a sense of confusion or emptiness. To lead a life with purpose means to direct your daily efforts toward a defined and compelling reason that aligns with your deepest values. This clarity of purpose is what turns ordinary moments into meaningful progress and helps overcome distractions and obstacles that inevitably arise. When intention is clear, decisions gain power and motivation becomes a steady force rather than a fleeting spark. Leading with purpose begins by understanding what truly matters. It requires honest self-examination to identify core beliefs, passions, and long-term goals. Many people live on autopilot, reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them with deliberate choices. This passive approach weakens resolve and leads to regret over lost time and missed opportunities. Defining purpose calls for active reflection and prioritization. Ask what legacy you want to leave, what contribution you want to make, and what kind of person you aspire to become. These questions ignite a vision that energizes and focuses your life. Clear intention is the bridge between purpose and action. Having a purpose alone is not enough unless it is translated into concrete goals and daily commitments. Intention provides the practical roadmap that keeps your efforts aligned. It means setting specific, measurable, and achievable targets that reflect your purpose in manageable steps. This structure prevents overwhelm and fosters steady momentum. Each morning, choose to engage in activities that move you closer to your purpose. This daily habit creates consistency that builds success and fulfillment over time. Purpose-driven living demands awareness of distractions that dilute energy and focus. Modern life offers countless temptations and urgent but meaningless tasks. These pull attention away from what genuinely matters. Recognizing these distractions is the first step in reclaiming your time and mental space. Learn to say no to requests and activities that do not align with your purpose. Protecting your focus is a form of self-respect and discipline. It is better to say no to many things to say yes to what truly advances your vision. Intention without flexibility can lead to frustration if rigid expectations meet unforeseen challenges. Leading with purpose requires resilience and adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances may shift, forcing you to adjust your course without losing sight of your core reason. This balance of steadfastness and openness builds wisdom. It teaches how to stay anchored while navigating change. When setbacks occur, returning to your purpose renews motivation and clarifies next steps. Purpose becomes a constant North Star, not a narrow tunnel vision. Mindful presence enhances the power of clear intention. Leading purposefully is not just about future goals, but also about fully engaging in the present moment. Being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings deepens your connection to your purpose. It allows you to notice opportunities and obstacles with clarity. Mindfulness reduces reactive behavior and increases deliberate choice. It creates space for calm and confidence amid complexity. This mental state supports sustained focus and grounded decision-making. Leading with purpose inspires authentic connections. When your intentions are clear, interactions with others become more meaningful. Relationships flourish because you communicate honestly about your values and goals. Others are drawn to genuine passion and clarity. This authenticity builds trust and respect. Purpose-driven leadership is not about control, but about influence rooted in integrity. It encourages collaboration and mutual growth rather than mere compliance. Taking responsibility is central to purposeful leadership of your own life. It means owning your choices, outcomes, and growth. Blaming circumstances or others weakens empowerment and clouds clarity. Accepting full responsibility empowers you to make changes and steer your life deliberately. This mindset shifts from victimhood to creator. It fosters confidence and a proactive stance toward challenges. Responsibility and purpose together form a foundation for continuous progress and self-mastery. Creating rituals that reinforce purpose strengthens your daily practice. These can be simple habits like morning reflection, journaling your goals, or visualizing success. Rituals anchor your intention in everyday life and keep your focus sharp. They build momentum and reduce decision fatigue by making purposeful actions automatic. Consistency in these routines is key to embedding purpose deeply into your identity. Over time, living intentionally becomes effortless because it aligns with who you are at your core. Leading life with clear intention demands patience and persistence. Purpose is not a quick fix but a lifelong commitment. It requires ongoing effort to clarify, adapt, and act despite distractions and setbacks. Growth happens in small steps that accumulate into profound transformation. Celebrate progress without rushing or expecting perfection. Recognize that setbacks are part of the process and serve as lessons to refine your path. Persistence nourishes resilience and fuels long-term achievement. Ultimately, leading with purpose gives life meaning beyond fleeting pleasures or external approval. It grounds identity in values rather than circumstances. It builds a legacy through consistent, intentional actions. This way of living cultivates peace of mind and inner strength because each choice resonates with a deeper reason. Clarity of intention turns challenges into opportunities and uncertainty into direction. Purpose empowers you to live fully awake and deeply engaged in the life you choose to create.